Welcome to everyone to this exciting 9th Friendship Zoom of ours. I'm Suzanne Herron, the Governor of the Western Canada region, and all thanks really go to our Friendship Chair, Darlene Jameson, who has continually come up with brilliant ideas and found speakers for us. The other thing I would like to do, first of all, is just acknowledge that those of us in the Americas, at least, are living, working, playing on traditional territories of our Indigenous cousins who have stewarded this land for thousands of years. And we're actively working towards reconciliation and moving forward together. And in my club's last meeting, we talked a bit about that and about personal steps that we could take and about acknowledging personal steps that we could take. So I just want to share that the current book I'm reading is called The Morning Bell Brings the Brokenhearted, and I highly recommend it. So let's get started. We'll hear from our storytellers, and then we'll be open for questions and other stories about bringing diversity into clubs. And I have to apologize to all our amazing storytellers, Rochelle Prasad, Estatira, oh my gosh, Estatira, how do I say your last name?
Forget about the last name. I don't need the last name, Shirkhodaee, but that's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
Estatira is fine.
Sadhana Kumar, Debra Lazzar, and Janan Faraj Falah. I'm just going to introduce them really briefly, one at a time, and then turn it over. And I have to apologize that I did not say to them what order we were going to go in. So, Rochelle, I hope you're up for going first, because I think that we are going to want to hear from Rochelle Prasad, who is the newest Soroptimist in the Western Canada region. And she actually received the Violet Richardson Award from Surrey Delta back in 2016. And now she's just been named the, okay, help me out, Rochelle. You're the super UN young person, super duper. And you're like the UN young person. And Rochelle is going to speak about her experience coming into the club as a young person, and what we can all learn from that. So, Rochelle, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Rochelle. I'm currently calling in from the unceded and traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples. Thank you for having me. I've had such a whirlwind of the past decade of my life, and I'm so excited to share some of it with you. Quick reminder for me, how many minutes do I have?
We said about 7.
Okay, perfect. I didn't want to go past however how many minutes I had. So I'm going to start with my story. So when I was a young child in elementary school, let's talk about kindergarten all the way to grade 7. I was always really passionate about community work and how I could give back, only because I was always super frustrated on how adults, when I was younger, were handling certain situations when it came to children's rights or youth engagement tactics, et cetera, et cetera. I just always felt left out as a kid, and thought to myself that, where are all these other people making decisions for young people, but not actually having us at the table? Like, what's going on? There are situations such as food programs for after school things, or it could be as big as transit issues and passes for young people who want to get to event programs. I just saw all these different gaps along the way for youth and who was representing us in the room. So I finally did something about it in high school so I rounded up all my experiences and basically found out along the way that in order to amplify youth voices, I got to gather a bunch of young people in grades 8 to grade 12 and start a nonprofit. So I started a nonprofit when I was in grade 10, and I've been doing that for about 11 and a half years now. And it's called Spark Foundation. And what the group does is they empower the next generation through life education programming. So that means we fill in the gaps in the education system and help kids understand what it means to save for a home, what it means to do their income taxes, what it means to look for leadership opportunities outside of their city. So all the gaps that are visible in the education system is what we take care of. So along the way, I also took part in other different programs such as Girl Guide to Canada and similar opportunities to Soroptimist. And I wasn't really aware of Soroptimist until grade 11/12. So in grade 11, 12, started looking at, okay, where in the world am I going for post-secondary? And most importantly, what am I going to study, et cetera, and decided that, okay, I'm going to need some financial support and some help and even some guidance and some mentorship on where am I going in life. So I started Googling opportunities and saying, okay, young girls in politics or education mentors or things of those words. And I've fumbled upon Soroptimist. So I noticed it had something called the Violet Richardson Award, and I applied, and I was honored to receive that in 2016. So, and that was that 8 years ago? 7, 8 years ago. And since then, my fun little joke that I have for myself is that they've been slowly recruiting me since then, and I just didn't I didn't know it. And I'm so glad that they have been keeping an eye on me since 2016 and that they've been mentoring me along the way, even though I wasn't a member. And that means the most to me. So just recently, I've been really involved in something called the Dream It Be It conferences that we have and we host here in Metro Vancouver for students from grades, I think it's in high school. And what that conference is about is they gather for a day and we mentor young girls on career paths and opportunities and also provide them with workshops, keynote speakers, all in the same room, all on the same day, and send them home feeling very empowered about their future. So I got involved with the Dream and Be It conference as an MC a couple of years ago, and I've been doing that for the past couple of years. And then this year I decided that, okay, so my plate is diversifying and I need more support when it comes to women in my field, which is education and entrepreneurship and UN things, which I'll explain later. And yeah, and I looked at Soroptimist since they've always been with me in some sort of part and capacity in my life. And I also looked at finding an experience that was similar to Girl Guides, because I aged out of Girl Guides program as well. And then ta-da, there was Soroptimist. So I asked them and I said, how can I do this? How can I join? And Darlene connected me in, and here I am. I'm part of an amazing group of women who believe in the next generation. And yeah, that's how I quotation marks got recruited into the program. But there's a couple of things I also wanted to talk about. And the first one being, now that I'm in Soroptimist, I wanted to amplify how we can represent and engage more youth and how to appeal to more youth. And I also wanted to talk about how to keep the retention rate in our clubs while amplifying social impact. So really quick here, the importance of youth engagement. So our work revolves around uplifting young women, young people. And the real question is here, how do we appeal to them and how do we keep them involved, engaged, and don't necessarily scare them away, but keep them in? I have 3 solutions for us. And the first one being incentives. And incentives should be treated as not necessarily as a reward for joining something, but as a celebration moment for that young person for either reaching out, et cetera, et cetera. So really consider about giving incentives, either it be online through social media or through giveaways or even free food. Youth love pizza. I've worked in the youth engagement realm for 10 years now, and every event I have with pizza, they are there. So free food of that liking works. Also consider the timing of events. If you are looking to recruit and retain young people in grades 11 all the way to 5th year university or et cetera in that age group, and you want them to be a member with you, you have to really be cognizant of the timings of your meetings currently before you recruit them. So why do you have to be considerate of the timings before you recruit them? Is because I've been in spaces where they've changed the timing because I am a youth and I wanted to join their club, et cetera, et cetera. But the feeling of someone changing the time or a program for you, it's great. Optimistically, it's great. But as a youth during that time, I felt like, oh my goodness, there's so much pressure for me now to be more involved and to do things and maybe the capacity I didn't want to do. And I got to give a lot of myself that I don't really have right now and stretch to a different capacity. So make sure that your timings are already inclusive, meaning that try to meet on days or weekdays after work or after school during the time periods of 4 to 7. These are when young people are looking for something to do. That solves two problems and two gaps in society that I'm currently seeing. Young people are most likely to get into programs or situations, not necessarily programs, taking away the word, into situations where they're not supposed to be in after school, because there's a gap between when their parents come home or when their curfew or whatever is, and that's between 3:30 to 8 p.m. So if we hold our meetings during that time slots after school, we are filling in the gap of, all right, mentorship, we're supporting these youth, we're bridging the gap from them to after school programming to home. And number two, we're welcoming them into a space where they can really give back to the community. So that's what I have on timings. And yeah, so try to stick to weekdays if you can. Keep your meetings short, maybe 1 to 2 hours at the most. Nothing too large, or maybe take breaks in between. And if I were to go back in time to my 18-year-old self, one piece of advice I would give to my now self and to us in the room is that the less meetings we have on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, the better for young people. And there's two reasons why. Because on Saturdays and Sundays, it gears them to spend more time with their friends and family. And we don't want to take away from that time. And also, it allows them to reset and relax before the next week ahead. And lastly, I almost forgot what I was going to say, and I think I forgot. Yeah, youth, we like to sleep in. Well, I used to like to sleep in when I was 18, 19, whatever, and whatnot. And yeah, having early morning meetings on Saturdays and Sundays did not used to work for me. Now they do, they're great. But when you're a young person, it doesn't really appeal to us if we want to meet at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Something after 1 p.m. would be cool, but keep that in mind when figuring out timings. Last but not least, on this last part here, inclusivity. I took some notes here. I gotta make sure I know what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. So during your meetings, please do not pressure the youth to participate. I know that we expect young people to have amazing, bold ideas and the need to participate. But as soon as we have that assumption about that young person and that extra pressure, it just builds in that room and they can feel it. They pick up everything like a sponge. So my best piece of free advice here is, as soon as that youth wants to join your club, they've done the membership process, they're in the room, pause, of course, for questions or comments in between things that you're doing, etc., but never during the first 3 meetings at least ask them directly if they have any insights or have any comments, with everyone watching them and everyone looking at them. That adds so much pressure to the young person to contribute and not giving them other options to actually add in things to say. So yeah, just make sure there are other avenues for them to write something down, or even talk to you afterward. Just make it known to them that there's other ways to participate, and don't put them in the spotlight during the first 3 meetings. Or if they're very comfortable and vibrant and you know they're going to be fine, feel free to do whatever is best for their personality, but that's what I've just found in the past. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about is, okay, you have this young person, or you just have a diversity of people in your club. How do we keep the retention rates while implying and amplifying social impact? A couple of notes for you is focus on balancing out the dynamics of the group and team. So that means team bonding. Really do focus on that for the first couple of meetings, 2 to 3 meetings. Go have pizza, like a picnic pizza party, or hang out, go play bowling, or go for a walk, or do something that's collaborative and doesn't talk more so about what we need to do for the year. That, as a young person and working with young people, scares the bejeebers out of us when people are just eager to get going. That's great. But also, we just want to get to know people first, build that genuine connection before we place ourselves in different priorities of an organization. So get to know each other first, especially if there's young people in your group. They love to have fun. Free food is key. And after that, figure out the planning and the social impact of it. Don't meet too frequently as well. I've seen organizations somewhat like Soroptimist, where they meet 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe 10 times a month. That's a lot of burden on your members, and also youth, especially when they have extra other curriculars going on, because all these young people that we are trying to retain and recruit in high school / university, besides joining our club, they have so many other pressures right now in our ever-evolving world to get into the job economy, which means, yes, they're trying to stand out. Yes, you're trying to get involved in all these different things to make sure that when they get hired, they're different and they just don't have a degree. They have other things on their resume and in their personality as well. So the thing is here, make sure that we're meeting in consistent times, but not as frequently that it's going to take away from the time of the young person from developing in their community. I would also say try to match young people and just your overall members with a mentor, like a seasoned member that's already in the club, et cetera, et cetera. This will help member retention and also build an inclusive space. Yeah, also talk about the hard stuff is another note I had for us here today is don't be afraid to talk about the news headlines or how to overcome inequalities or how to make sourdough from scratch, like life things that are going on with our young people, because they want to hear from, I'm in an awkward stage right now where I'm a youth, but I'm turning into adult, so I'm going to talk on both perspectives. So they want to hear from us adults as well on what are we struggling with? How is our day going? And how can they learn from us? They want to be mentored, but they won't say it. A lot of them, 80% of them will not say it. So just make sure that you're open and sharing these hard to things to talk about. Because what I've also found out is that a lot of youth at home, they don't have the same support that maybe most of us had growing up. And the times have changed, meaning that their parents no longer talk about the things that we were probably taught in elementary school. They're missing those hard conversations. So if it feels appropriate for you and you have a bonding and a mentorship relationship with that young person, talk about the hard stuff. They want someone to do it. They just don't know how to ask. And the bottom line is keep it fun, keep your meetings simple, engage the community around you, and don't be afraid to connect with other youth organizations that are youth-led in your community. They are the key to successful retention of young people and also having more youth voices in your community supporting your events and your work. It's amazing. And that's how you build sustainable communities. All right, that is all from me. I'm going to pass it back to Suzanne.
Okay, you're amazing. Thank you. I've taken so many notes, and this is spectacular. So yeah, and we'll have the opportunity for folks to ask questions and make comments in a little while. Wow. Okay. I neglected to mention that Rochelle is born and raised in Canada, but with Fijian roots. And we have another Fijian with us as well, who we'll hear from in a moment, and that's Sadhana. But first, I would like to go to Estatira and in Toronto. And I told Estatira that the wonderful piece of information. Okay, somebody needs to mute, folks. That would be awesome. I told Estatira that the wonderful piece of information that I had from Sharon Fisher, past President Sharon Fisher, was that people speak about 125 words a minute. So to write out, 900 words. However, I know perfectly well that Estatira talks a lot faster than that. So we may hear a lot more from her. So Estatira, take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
How you have built such an extraordinarily diverse club.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I just wanted to let you know, Suzanne, I have practiced to slow down a little bit for this event specifically, but there is a chance that at times I might get carried away and I will speak a little faster. I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the stories of SI Toronto, the most diverse club in Canada and presumably in North America. So what I would like to share with you today is how the club has changed and share some of the stories of our club. So I have been the president of SI Toronto Club for the past 4 years. And over the past 4 years, the demographic of our club has drastically changed. Before that, it was primarily a middle-class white club. And over the years, we had more Soroptimist members joining us. And if you wonder how we had more diverse Soroptimist members, we had a few Soroptimists who were members in other countries in the world. And once they moved to Toronto, they wanted to continue their contribution as a Soroptimist. They contacted me personally, and this is where I want to emphasize how it all started. I had a personal relationship with every single member who contacted me. So before talking about Soroptimists, I mean, obviously we talk about Soroptimists, that's our connection point, but before getting to the business of the Soroptimists, we developed a friendship. And that's how we moved on to the business aspect of what we wanted to do. So that was the start point, and we were able to maintain that friendship for the past couple of years. As we go ahead, I wanted to tell you that today we have people from 9 different cultural backgrounds in Toronto, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful because everyone brings something different to the table. We have the opportunity to celebrate different cultures, learn about different cultures, and again, you know, to hear about the challenges. We know that every country in the world may face a different set of challenges. And again, being familiar with that somehow raises our understanding of what Soroptimists can do globally. I would like to take the opportunity and talk about the Women Life Freedom movement that happened in Iran 2 years ago. So many of you were familiar with you know, with what happened and the violation of women's rights in Iran. In that very, very specific case, SI Toronto stood tall and strong behind me and another member who are originally Iranian. We felt supported. We felt that we belong to the club. As we go on, I would like to mention when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we have to be careful because diversity is having different faces at the table and inclusion is having the voices of those different faces heard. So in Toronto, our focus has been inclusion, and we want to make sure that we hear the voices of our members. For us, having a culturally diverse club has been very important because we know our members bring different perspective, ideas. People from different cultural background have different thought processes, problem-solving approaches. And again, they are very much in supporting of new ideas and viewpoints, and it has helped our club with decision-making and bringing new ideas. So one of the very good examples of bringing new ideas by a member who was a Soroptimist in a different federation is the Diwali fundraiser. So Diwali is the celebration of light in the Hindu culture. Our one and only Bobby Mohan, the president of fundraising, who was the president of Soroptimist International of Papua New Guinea 20 years ago, brought this idea forward 2 years ago. So when she first introduced the idea of a Bollywood night, there were some discussions around whether we could pull it off or not. And then after a year, Bobby was able to pull off an amazing fundraiser with the great support of the fundraising team. And the club was able to raise $12,000. So in the event, as you can see, we have all our members, Canadian born and raised members wearing saris. I wore saris. We had live music. And what was interesting was because of our member Bobby, we could get connected to a different community. So people would come forward, they would commend us for the work that Soroptimist does, and they shared you know, it was their first time hearing about the work we do. They wanted us to continue, and it was an amazing event. We had fun. Our members learned more about the culture, different cultures, and the community also contributed. So that's one example. The second example that I would like to provide regarding the new ideas being forth was this Persian fundraiser. So Nowruz is the Persian New Year. So we had a Nowruz fundraiser for kids in 2017. And that was another opportunity for us to connect with the Persian community in Toronto. And also, you know, bring our members into this learning opportunity to learn about the Persian culture. Toronto is the home to one of the most populated cities in terms of the Persian population. So it was important for us to get connected to that community as well. So moving on, for us, one of the great ways that we feel that we could get connected is organizing different parties. And then we decided, what could we do? Our club decided to have a Halloween party. So this is 2020, right after 2021, right after pandemic, after people were cooped up and they were tired of being at home. So we organized a Halloween party. And then this was a potluck. So all the food that you see on the table is culturally diverse. We had people who were vegetarians, we had people who had dietary restriction, but we were able to have fun with the food and with music. And not a wonderful opportunity to connect with one another. I have to mention that this was hosted in my location. I live in Kitchener. For those of you who might not be familiar with the geography, Kitchener is 100 kilometers away from Toronto. So all our members had to drive from Toronto. They carpooled. And guess what? When they carpooled, they had the opportunity to talk, to share, and to learn more about one another. And again, it's all about that personal connection. Right now, I wanted to mention, when we think about recruiting diverse groups and having different members, there are two factors that we have to consider. One of them is when we have our recruitment activities, and I would like to wear my marketing hat, the promotion activities, does our promotional material, including the flyer, reflect our club being inclusive? So I'm going to give you an example. If our flyer portrays just a white Caucasian person, does it really reflect that our club is inclusive? I would say no, it does not. So we have to make sure that the content that we are sharing with people and the way we are approaching people is inclusive. I have seen a lot of different cases where people put up, let's say, invitation to recruitment, and it says wine and chocolate. Okay, so for someone like me who's a Muslim and doesn't drink wine, you immediately exclude me. So these are some very key points that we have to be very careful. And it's not that I personally will get offended. No, if the mission talks to me, I will definitely want to go and be part of an organization. However, this can be some deterrent that can prevent having potential members reaching out to us because they don't feel themselves reflected in the club. So all we have to do is we have to somehow showcase activities that is reflective of our inclusive approach. So what if I would like to, answer my own question? What if there's a club that is trying to change the demographic and currently doesn't have anyone who looks different? That's fine. You can partner up with other communities or with other events that are more inclusive, and then you can use those pictures on our social media. It means that we are open and we are interested in working with different demographics and different people from different cultural backgrounds. After the pandemic hit, SI Toronto, and a year before pandemic, we lost the location that we met on a regular basis and we went fully online. And you all understand, when you fully function online, you lose the opportunity of personal connection. You cannot meet people in person, and there is a totally different dynamic when you are in person. So again, we had some creative ideas brought forth, and that was organizing some socials and some activities. As you can see, again, we had a potluck at one of our members' houses. We went out for a social activity. And for the Persian New Year that you can see there, we went to celebrate Nowruz with our club members. Some of them were experiencing the Persian food for the first time. And it was a wonderful experience to learn more about what every culture has to offer. I'm going to go back. When we have people from diverse backgrounds, their expectation of friendship and support is different. And this is something that I learned when I worked with SI Toronto. I learned that with the white Canadians, when I work, they ask me certain questions and they won't go any deeper. They won't get into the details, and I'm totally fine with that. With some other cultures, they would like to have more follow-up questions, right? And it won't bother them if you ask the question twice. If you send them 2 emails or 2 text messages, ask them how they are doing, how things are, if there is anything that they need help, or, I'm thinking of you. It is nothing that will disturb them, but it shows that you care. If you think about, again, I'm going back to the cultural demographic that we have in SI Toronto. If you think about the Eastern culture, Middle Eastern culture, African culture, these are very effective cultures. Effective cultures mean there is manifestation of emotions, and people like to show those emotions. People like to receive those emotions. So we have incorporated all of that in our activities. Our members receive a personalized email on their birthday. And for the past 4 years, for every member's birthday, I have prepared a birthday card and I have sent it to them. If a member gets sick, we reach out to the member. We sometimes send flowers. If there is a milestone, we celebrate milestone. If someone is turning 70, 80, there is a gift from the club that goes to the member. And this is just to make sure that we show how much we value and appreciate our members. I'm going to go back again, talking about these cultures, personal relationships, and trust is the key. If we cannot have the personal relationship with our members, we cannot really, move to that strong business relationship that we are looking forward to have in our club activities. So this is a picture that you can see, and we had a member, again, this is our fundraising director, who is a breast cancer survivor. Every year, we do have this Run for Cancer in Toronto, and our members participate to support Bobby and two other Soroptimists who are survivors of breast cancer. So engaging in activities and understanding that everyone has different perspective to offer, everyone does things differently, has brought us, our club together. Has it been easy? I would say no. Did we have conflicts? 100%. Now, I would like to share a personal experience myself as a leader. We had a member who continuously argued with me regarding why I sent emails. Why did I say in the email, we are going to do this? And her argument with me was that, no, it is not we, it is you. And I said, as a leader, I can have a vision. Leadership is very cultural, and we cannot assume that everyone will have the same leadership style. People from different cultural backgrounds have different communication styles. They have different cultural preference. They have different leadership styles. And they do have cultural preferences, and we have to be mindful of that. We cannot expect every member that joins our club to conform. There are certain things that we need to understand, and those are the rules. But again, with the demographic of all clubs, I'm not only talking about Toronto, but we see the wave of globalization. All clubs are changing all over the world. So we cannot just say that there is one way of doing things. No, that is not the way, and that is not how our clubs can succeed. Going back, again, when the Iranian revolution in Iran happened, Women, Life, Freedom happened, this was a moment and this was a spark that brought our members closer together. People shared ideas of how they could do something, how they could support. And this was another example of how the club rose up to the challenges, and they tried to understand, what the Iranian women were going through. I remember a couple of years ago, I was in downtown Toronto with some of the seasoned member who had been a member for 25 years. And there were some people protesting in downtown Toronto. And she told me, oh, they are here in Canada. Why are they protesting about their home country? That moment, my heart broke. Because Canada is our adoptive mother, but our homeland is our biological mother. We can never forget our homeland. And if anything happens to our homeland, it breaks our heart. This is something that people need to understand, that yes, we are very happy. We're blessed to live here in Canada, and we do everything we can. We make contribution. However, if something goes wrong in our countries, we cannot just stay quiet, and we care about what is happening in other countries and other parts of the world. I would like to conclude, and I would like to say, if you are looking at having a diverse club, the first step is having cultural humility. What is cultural humility? Cultural humility is acknowledging the differences and accepting the person for who they are. It is an ongoing process of self-reflection and self-criticize to understand your biases, to understand how you could do differently and what you could learn about other people. So thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. I hope I didn't go over time. I tried my best to stay on track, and I will answer any questions that you'll have. Thank you.
Wow. You can tell that Estatira teaches marketing at Conestoga College. Thank you, Estatira. And what you've said, some of your stories are a perfect segue for me to call on Sadhana Kumar from the largest club in Canada and to one of the smallest clubs in Canada, but a very diverse club. And I think some of the stories that you have told, Estatira, are going to be reflected in what Sadhana has to say. And I'm just trying to find you, Sadhana,
I
in the
am
list of
here.
participants here. Yeah. All right. You,
I'm here, Suzanne. I can see
have
you.
you got a name? Okay. All right. So I'm going to take my spotlight off, and I'm going to find you, and
I'll wave at
spotlight
everybody
you.
so they
And
can. I'll wave both my hands
there
so
you
you can
are.
see it. There you are. Hello, everyone.
Perfect.
Pleasure to
All
be
right.
here today. So, as a way of background, you've heard Fiji being mentioned. Yes, I was born in the Fiji Islands in the South Pacific. It's a very small group of islands. Currently, I believe we have about 900,000 people living there. It's a South Pacific island, so lots of Polynesian cultures there. A hop and a skip halfway point from Canada is Hawaii, and we are very close to Australia and New Zealand. So I came to Canada with my parents. Our family was already here. The truth era back in the early 70s, and we're back. So I started education here in Canada from elementary school. I attended high school and post-secondary here. Our club, SI New West-Burnaby, is a club that was chartered in late 2018. We had a full year before COVID hit. We started out with quite a lot of members, but we dropped quite a few of them during the COVID years. Trying to rebuild again. We are a diversified club. We are trying to recruit more members. There is another member from my club who is also Fijian. So we do have a friendship link with Fiji. And we are, as Suzanne said, we are quite a small club, but we are definitely trying to build. I love the ideas that you've given about how we can increase our membership. We already have started out being a diversified club, but would love to see more people from different backgrounds. Absolutely, we are a worldwide organization. We need to have people from all cultures because Canada is a multicultural country, and we need to be able to open up to all kinds of races, religions. Color should not matter to us, but it would definitely be great if we could learn from other cultures. The Diwali thing that you mentioned, wow, those were really, really great ideas. Of course, Diwali is really big for us in our culture, but we as Canadians accept many holidays here. We're blessed to be celebrating so many holidays. I'm not Christian, but I tell you, when we were kids in Fiji, wow, was Christmas big for us. It was the thing to look forward to. Of course, Fiji is a hot climate. That was when our seasons changed. So what we looked forward to was pop. Pop was a treat for us. So that was our Christmas present, was pop and chocolate. Living in the South Pacific, chocolate does not last long when you don't have refrigeration. So so to get a piece of chocolate that's a whole piece of chocolate was a treat for us. How my parents managed it, chocolate and soft drinks, was what we loved. And coming here, I don't have a sweet tooth. We are surrounded by chocolate here, but I do not have a sweet tooth. So go figure, right? Love living in Canada. Like I said, it's brought so many good things in our life, brought us a better quality of life. As a way of background, again, I grew up on a dairy farm. My father came from a farming background, so dairy was our business. Our farm is still there. My cousins continue to run it, and we had 475 acres of land, and we were carefree kids. We tended our job was to collect the eggs and whatnot. And you wonder when you say, the first thing people say to me is, why would you leave that paradise? Why did you leave all of that and come to Canada? And my parents made the sacrifice to come here for us, for my siblings and I, because we are in a hurricane zone. So living on a dairy farm, we had a river run through our property, and the hurricanes would wipe us out. The water would rise very quickly. Our cows would be washed away. Our buildings would float away, and we would have to rebuild. Every few years, you'd get a catastrophic hurricane and have to rebuild. And my dad, once our family was here, my dad said, I don't want that kind of a lifestyle for you. I want you guys to have a better life. So for you, we will make this sacrifice. For your mom and I, this is what we know. This lifestyle is okay for us, but not for you guys. So they made the sacrifice to move us to Canada and to better our life. And I hope that we made them proud. My parents are no longer with us. I lost my dad. Both my parents died in the pandemic, not due to COVID, but due to the isolation that they suffered. And I am actually in my parents' house right now. We're getting ready to sell it. So it's very emotional time for us. But I know that this is a story for a lot of us, that we have come to Canada, made it our home, but we haven't forgotten our roots. I still have family there. It means a lot to me. The Soroptimist family is important to me because they are my second family. The women are amazing. We do so many. When we get together, it's like, wow, it's like we've always known each other. We connect so easily and so well with each other. You don't even have to say anything. You look at that person and you know exactly how they're feeling about how we all feel about our club, about our friendships, about our groups, about our gatherings. We are all from diverse backgrounds, but to me, it doesn't matter. The color of your skin does not matter to me. It's what you hold inside that I connect with. It's your heart, it's your emotions, it's what you give back to your community. I love volunteering. I give back by way of a profession. I'm a real estate agent, and I volunteered many organizations. I was a member of the CIBC Run for the Cure for Surrey, so I appreciate that you did that, because this is the first year that I will not be on the run committee. But I hear you. That is something that made me connect with a lot of amazing women. So there's a lot of events there. Those are great ideas that you brought forward, and I think that we should be amalgamating with a lot of other communities, a lot of other events, and just piggybacking onto them and a way to grow our membership. So thank you for the wonderful ideas you guys have given me. I am going to the
Sadhana.
We're going to be, yeah.
Well, I just want to interrupt. It's so special, I think, to have a very personal story like yours that makes it really real for me of what comes to top of mind when reaching out to people who newcomers to Canada. And one thing that I would love for you to share on the Soroptimist side of life is your Live Your Dream Award celebration, because
absolutely.
It is so multicultural. So can you just take a couple minutes and tell folks what your club does?
So we are a new club. So we've been really lucky that we've been able to give away a Live Your Dream Award every year since we've charted. We did an event last year for our Live Your Dream award winner, was where we had a multicultural event. And what we did is we did a silent auction. We brought in the food. It was one of our members. It was her clubhouse in her condo building. And we had people donate saris, for instance. We had a lot of saris that were donated. And all the women from the various clubs came out. We had somebody there to help them put on the saris. That was our biggest hit. The amount of women that wanted to try the saris. It just took one of our members to try one on, and everybody looked at her and said, oh my God, that looks so beautiful on you. I want to try one. That was the biggest hit for us, the amount of saris that we sold. There was this woman that donated them all. Her husband had died and she had so many of them. We all do. I have hundreds of them too. But wow, to see all the women try that, including Suzanne there, she tried it on, and all our club members, everybody seemed to have walked away with the sari. We are going to be doing that again. Our event is on June the 2nd. We're going to be bringing a lot more of that because it was so popular. And you know, that 6 yards of fabric is just fabric, but the way that women put it on and wear it and what it brings, the amount of joy that it brings to you, to them. And I looked at them and said, geez, you guys look so great. You look better wearing it than we do. I guess because we're so used to it. But we're looking forward to that event. We're looking to do a lot more multicultural events. And again, I think that we will collaborate with other clubs to be able to bring about cultural events that are special to our Canadian culture, as a multicultural country. And Suzanne, thank you for reminding me what a special day that was. Our food was donated. The women were just had such a blast. It's just, like I said, when we get together and we do these events, the emotions that are on display are priceless. The joy that we get out of each other's companies and what we bring to the table on that day is priceless. So yes, we look forward to doing that event again. Again, it's on June the 2nd. We're going to have all the saris. We're going to have more clothes this time from different cultures, and look forward to it. It's just going to be an excellent event. Like I said, we're trying to build our membership. We're only a club of 5 members, but we've recruited our Live Your Dream Award winner from last year as our newest member. And we will invite all of our previous year's winners. Again, for a small club, we're very blessed to be able to give away a Live Your Dream Award every single year of our charter years. And we fundraise for that specifically. So thank you. It's a pleasure.
Sadhana. It is such a great event, and it's such a great example of how you can bring in your different cultures. And I want to go now to the link is, it's another Live Your Dream Award and event, and but instead of being for new people and a focus on cultures coming from other places, I would love to call on Debra Lazzar, who's a member of my club, Victoria Westshore, and Debra is going to tell the story of how our club's road to reconciliation involved an award specifically for Indigenous women, and that's been our contribution. So Debra, take it away.
You're muted.
Ah, shoot, we cannot hear you.
I should be better than that.
There we go. There we go. You're on.
Okay. Good morning, everyone from all over the world. My name is Kamchatslia. My English name is Debra Lazzar. I am from Sauk Nation, and it's located on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. I am the daughter of Haifa, also known in the English language as Gerald Lazzar. I just want to explain how it's really important to acknowledge my ancestors and my ancestral given name. It is a way of respect and inviting my ancestors into the space that I'm speaking in. And it gives us courage and honor and strength. And I would also like to acknowledge any of my fellow Indigenous Soroptimist members who are in attendance today on this meeting. It's so important to recognize and celebrate extraordinary women embodying the spirit of resilience, leadership, and cultural preservation. So our club wanted to reach out and increase an Indigenous award for women. And we started the process asking, how can we engage and get more participation? Like, what are we missing? So I did a mini survey on Facebook asking, why would you apply or not apply for an education award? And I put this out to all the Indigenous connections that I had. And a lot of women said, I don't have the time. And it's just highly likely that's just going to go to another white woman anyways. And so then we went back to the table and said, let's remove some barriers. Like, let's look at a different process. So to start that process, we wanted to come up with a name. And so I kind of, was looking at the different communities I had worked in and where I'm from. And so I just really love the Quetlal bulb. And it's a really nice purple, long stem purple flower. And it's a traditional food of the Songhees and Esquimalt people. And that is the Indigenous community where our club is based at. And I really like the flower. And I thought it was just so great because that was a staple food for the Indigenous and Songhees people. And it was always gathered by women and children. So it was so honoring. And then we thought, like how to break down those barriers of asking the same questions or having them do a big long essay. And so so my suggestion was to have it something else, like let's have them do a video, and let's be not so much on the academics, but maybe on their cultural perspective of maybe what their family does for their gathering of food or other items. So that could be like beading, carving, if they their family is a salmon family, like they gather salmon, they smoke the salmon, like something like that, and just giving them an easier way to present that to us, whether that was through video, or they could write something out, or they could present their final product and maybe the process of what's involved. And I just thought that was a great way to teach our club in reconciliation and to share that information to our club so they could learn a bit more about the Indigenous culture. So we have done it, I believe, for 3 years. And the other thing that I wanted to do as part of that award was, because awards are always for post-secondary, usually for post-secondary education. But my point was that there's so many women that are really struggling just to get into post-secondary. So women that, have different traditional responsibilities, like they have the traditional longhouse, is the culture that all the nations on Southern Vancouver Island have, where you have commitment to your culture. You might be taking care of your grandparents, maybe taking care of your niece and nephews, and you're managing the whole house and your own kids, and you're trying to, get your grocery shopping done. And so they're really struggling and really trying to but they never get acknowledged, or they never are honored that, you're doing a great job. Like you're trying to, get into post-secondary, like that's huge. So this year we had one recipient that was actually doing that. The last 2 years it was post-secondary, but so I was just so honored and just so great, because that was what we created this award was for somebody, for her and her family. Like they had gone through a lot of things, and her family was just telling her, you just need to give up and not do this, like you're not going to get into post-secondary. And she just carried on, and I just think it was so wonderful. So so how we gathered together to honor, and we just really want to celebrate the achievements of, the Indigenous women. We want to acknowledge the challenges and obstacles they've overcome, and all the sacrifices they've made, and also the resilience that they've shown in the face of adversity. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was the journey of an Indigenous woman in walking two worlds is a testament to strength, beauty, and spirit of our people, and a reminder of the power of community, culture, and connection for shaping the lives of our future. And I'm discussing that because a lot of times the elders say, you know, as Indigenous people, and I think especially Indigenous women, we are walking in two worlds. Like we have our left foot in our Indigenous community, our culture, our background, our traditions, and then we have our right foot in our career or our education and into the modern world. And we think we can always balance and go through, but that isn't always the case, and it's hard. So so part of this award, I wanted to be part of the change, and I wanted to always express the deepest gratitude from our SI club, and just showing these women, you know, our appreciation for their leadership, for their dedication, and for their unwavering commitment to advancing their education and creating the rights for the well-being of future women and the unborn Indigenous women in their communities. And their accomplishments inspire us, their courage empowers us, and their legacy will endure as resiliency for generations to come. And through the recognition that we're instilling, I hope that it's a reminder of the impact that these women have had in their community, and to honor them and to realize the respect and admiration that we hold for these women, and the hope and inspiration to instill in every Indigenous woman and promoting them. And so going back to walking in the two worlds as an Indigenous woman, it's complex and challenging, and it reflects the intersection of your traditional values and the modern realities. And Indigenous women find themselves balancing the demands and expectations of their Indigenous community, creating sometimes a conflicting identity. For many Indigenous women, navigating the two worlds means embracing their cultural heritage while adapting to the changing dynamics of the modern world. It involves honoring ancestral teachings and languages and customs, while also seeking your education, career opportunities, and personal growth outside of their traditional norms. This dual identity can be a place of belonging and empowerment, but it can also bring isolation, confusion, and cultural disconnect. And the Indigenous women walking in two worlds, they face a lot of challenges reserving to preserving their cultural identity, overcoming discrimination in their own community, and stereotypes in their community, as well as in the modern world. They often experience the tension between preserving their traditional roles and responsibilities within their communities and pursuing personal aspirations and goals that may diverge from cultural norms. But yet, at the same time, Indigenous women bring unique perspectives, strength, and resilience to both their Indigenous communities and the broader society. They serve as cultural ambassadors, bringing the gap between the traditional knowledge and contemporary issues, and advocating for social justice, environmental stewardship, and cultural revitalization. Ultimately, being Indigenous and walking in two worlds for an Indigenous woman is a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and resistance. It's about embracing the complexities of one's identity, celebrating the richness of one's cultural heritage, and forging a path that honors both the traditions of the past and possibilities of the future. It is a testament of strength, resilience, and beauty of Indigenous women who navigate the complexities of history, culture, and identity with courage, grace, and determination. Part of our ceremony that we do on honoring the women that receive this award is I brought in some of my cultural identity to the ceremony, and I perform a blanketing ceremony. The Native blanketing ceremony holds a special place in all the traditions, the cultural traditions of all the Indigenous communities. The ceremony is sacred and meaningful, practices and promotes unity, healing, and connection with the spirit world. The act of blanketing somebody symbolizes protection, warmth, and comfort, and it's often used to honor individuals for their contributions, achievements, or milestones in life. During the blanket ceremony, A special blanket is chosen and it's draped around the shoulders of the honoree by community leaders or elders. And this gesture is a powerful symbol of the community's acceptance, support, and love for the individual being honored. In addition to honoring individuals, the native blanket ceremony is also used for healing and reconciliation within communities by coming together to celebrate and support one another. People can heal past wounds, build stronger relationships, and reaffirm their cultural identity. And I think that is so important for the SI Club to do, because it's showing the reconciliation and is also, you know, just showing the love that you have for that individual and that you understand like all the things that she's been through, and maybe just to help in covering up those traumas and to help them, you know, get through it and know that they have people in their corner that are really supporting them and advocating for them. And I also have something that my family does is this is a cedar woven headband made from the bark of the cedar tree. And so my family has these made up. And so it gets placed on their head during the ceremony. And then I want to talk about, so being covered by a cedar headband holds deep cultural and spiritual significance in my family and other Indigenous communities. The cedar tree is symbolizing strength, protection, and connection to the earth and spiritual world. And I don't know, when you put it on, you just feel stuff just like coming down on you, like just like a really good feeling. The cedar tree is symbolizing of strength, protection, and connection to the earth and spiritual world. Wearing a cedar headband is a powerful symbol of honor, respect, and connection in one's heritage and ancestors. In honor of representing my family of strong, resilient women and a line of matriarchs, I do hope that this act makes my ancestors proud, and sharing some of our teachings and giving a different perspective of our way of life. This is a tradition that we symbolize as part of our SI Club to each Indigenous participant in receipt of rewards from our club. It's a small part of our reconciliation to the women of Indigenous community in hopes of a broader reconciliation for all. And
Aichka,
I'm done. And
Aichka, Debra.
Kleko and Haichka.
Kleko, kleko. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. So, and I just really appreciate that, those teachings for us all. So thank you so much, Debra. And we are going to now go to our final storyteller, Dr. And you know, I have to apologize because is it Janan or Janan? I don't even know. You're going to have to tell us. But this amazing woman, president of the Haifa Club, is also, she founded the gender department at the Arab College. She's the founder and director of the Women's House for Peace. She's the winner of the Jerusalem Unity Prize for work bringing Arabic and Jewish women together. And I told Janan that I figured the elephant in the room would be, how have you maintained a faith club in the midst of the ongoing conflict? And, you know, when we talk about diversity, we often talk about culture, ethnicity, blah, blah, blah. Bringing faiths, different faiths together is, I think, one of our greatest challenges. And so I'm very grateful to you for telling us the story of your Haifa Club. The floor is yours.
Okay, at the beginning, I want to thank Susie, Darlene, and Tuka for giving me this opportunity to join this amazing meeting. Oh, I heard amazing stories from amazing women from around the world. Thank you. To explain how I began working with multi-religious groups, I should tell you my own story. As you know, my name is Janan Faraj. I'm the first Druze in Israel who get the PhD, and we grew up in a city called Akko or Ekar, and we were the only Druze family in this city. My mother tongue is Arabic. My specialty in the academia is Hebrew and comparative literature, and my research is in gender, peace, and conflict resolution. I'm researching what's called honor killing, especially in the Arab community in Israel. And I'm teaching courses in several universities in Israel and around the world, multiculturalism, about multiculturalism. I grew up in a family that had friends from all religions and cultures, and we were raised to respect and accept every culture. My upbringing in my parents' home made me want to bring people together. So I decided to found a Jewish Arab Women's Association. I put two rationales in front of my eyes. One, to promote women in all cultural issues, and the other all cultural issues, yes, and the other to build projects on the condition that each project there will be women from both cultures. The name of my association is Akko Women Vision Association. Akko is my city because at the beginning there were members only from Akko. Now we have more 400 members from all the country and even all the world. We have a lot of projects and many engagements with many associations. How I get to know the Soroptimist group. In 2005, I was invited by Israeli Soroptimist Association to give a lecture about my book, The Druze Woman. Several years later, we had collaboration in various activities, a meeting of women clubs that aim of building projects for shared life, and the study evenings on the occasion of Women's Day. One day, I was invited by a dear friend from the Haifa club, Mrs. Mother Renford, to join the club and help grow the club through a new project and through the addition of new memberships. I agreed to join Haifa club, and after a while, I was chosen to be the president of this club. I faced many challenges. It wasn't easy. I was the youngest member. I live in another city. All the members were from Haifa, the same city. I came from another city. I came from different religion. How did I start recruiting new members to my Soroptimist club? In my city, Akko or Eka, there are more than 30 women's clubs. So we can't recruit women for the Soroptimist club. So what I did, I started inviting my friends to join the club and convince them to the importance of this organization. We started building projects for Arab and Jewish people. This project usually fascinates people. The first project was for Arab and Jewish girls actresses. We did it with Natania Club, with Shosh Frankel, and with the Clary. In this project, we faced a lot of challenges. It wasn't easy for us. The girls who participated in the project were teenagers. They are girls at risk. That means they have many problems with their families and issues with the police. They are from different cultures, Arab and Jewish, with all the problems from this. They faced language problems. The Jewish girls speak only Hebrew, and most of the Arab girls speak only Arabic. We had to face all these problems and find creative solutions. And from our experience, it's the language of arts. We succeeded and hope to continue with new multicultural groups. How we build the project and find partners. After I built a draft of the plan, I took advantage of the personal connection. This is the best way, personal connections. I'm known as an activist for women and common life, and people trust me and my work. I approached the mayor of my city and then the welfare department in the municipality of Ekar. And what I said always, relationship and partnership are built through years of work. They welcomed the plan. And then I sat down with the managers of the at-risk girls club and the social workers of the groups. To help me in the Girls at Risk project, I chose several friends from the association I managed. The association I told you at the beginning, ACO Women Vision Association, each from a different field, among them an artist and psychologist in the same time. And I asked them in the same time, and I asked them to join the Soroptimist club. And we started with the two groups, and we saw from the first meeting that the language, as I told you, that will connect the girls, the language of art. It was not easy. We had to spend all the meetings with the girls. We should be physically with the girls for the prom to go as we wanted to go. The meeting that brought them the closest was as a theater, especially when they were the actress. The project lasted 4 months and ended before the start of the war. A month ago, I contacted the municipality again and asked them to continue this project with other groups of girls, and we started to organize. We began building a sequel to girls' projects, including girls at risk and girls not at risk. Believe that to build good society, we must prepare young people because the future belongs to the young. If I want to tell you something, projects in progress support the shelter for better women, a community project to remove women from the circle of prostitution, empowering Arab and Jewish girls, and scholarship for female science students. This is what we are preparing now. If you ask me how I maintain friendship with both nations, especially in times for war or riots, as a leader, I should keep my interreligious group and be very smart and sensitive to each person and member. In Akkar, my city, there were riots in 2008, in 2021, and now the war. Always after a serious incident, I stop and wait a bit. Then I start activity with each group separately, Arab alone and Jewish alone, and then slowly come back to connect the groups. In our country, they acted as full partners in everything. What happened in the state of Israel on the 7th of October, Arabs were murdered just as Jews were murdered, and Arabs were kidnapped just as Jews were kidnapped. We, the Arabs and the Jews, especially women of the country, called together for return of the peace and they return back to the kidnap because this is our destiny to live together in our country. I want to show you several photos from a few of our projects. Girls at Risk project beginning. This is the theater moderator with the girls. This is the photo of Clary, who was the president of the Israeli Association, and Shosh, our friends. I think she is the projects director. Again, with the girls in risks. This is the theater in Akko, my city. You can see different ages, women from different ages, from different cultures. And this is the main photo. Look, you can see Muslim women, Jewish women, even a soldier, all of these soldier women, all of these people came together and helped the girls at risk, the Arab and girls at risk, to do something special for their future, for our future in the country. Photo exhibition. Again, photos, activities together. And this is a photo of few members of my Haifa clubs. You can see the different ages, even the different culture. Few of them are religious, other not religious. But what I want to say that all of us together working for the succeed of our activities and our mission and our club. Thank you.
Wow. Janan, you're amazing, and I am kind of without words. So I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful to you for making the time, and the pictures are very special, and what you're doing is so special, and it's just amazing. So we have
Thank you.
a little bit of time, and oh, thank you. I'm going to just open the floor. We have comments, questions, and I do want to call on actually President Kieran Oils Club, Surrey Delta, because at our last president's meeting, Kieran said something great, and it was about an event that the club participated in. So, Kieran, could you just tell us very briefly about what you participated in and the aha that you shared with us? Hold on, we can't hear you for some reason.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Is that good?
That's good.
Okay. So thank you, Suzanne, for giving me this opportunity, and I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I'd just like to take a second to express my gratitude and excitement to all the women who are here. You bring immense richness to our experience. So thank you so much. Before I go further, I just like to touch a little bit on inclusive clubs and embracing diversity. As many of you have mentioned, especially Estatira, we here in Canada and globally are becoming a very globalized world. So there is no point in considering ourselves as a particular group of people. We're multi-ethnic, we're multicultural, and that is the reality. The demographics are changing across the world, especially here in Canada. So I'm living in a region, Surrey Delta, which I'm so blessed is very multicultural. And when I joined the club and I was fortunate enough to be elected as president, one of the things uppermost in my mind was how do we reflect the diversity of the communities that we live in? Like some others have mentioned, our club was also pretty much white women. There's nothing wrong with that. That was the demographic of another age. We're now living in a different time. So what we discovered is there are a lot of cultural activities, especially related to women, that are happening around us. And what we tried to do, and here I'd really like to digress a bit to touch on what Debra mentioned was so key. It resonated so much. Debra, it's not only Indigenous women that walk in two worlds, but all immigrant women walk in two worlds. And that is something which immigrant communities are struggling with and addressing. How do we balance the culture that we come from, we were born into, and the culture that we embrace by choice, which is living in the Western world for us here in Canada. So we reached out to different organizations and tried to attend their events. And one of the events which was really an eye-opener, and my aha moment was on Women's Day, which was the 8th of March. There is a group here in Surrey Delta called Diversity. So it's diverse and CITY. They're a growing nonprofit which is supported by both the federal and the provincial governments and also private entities to make it easier and more streamlined for newcomers. Now, newcomers, especially women and children, are often left on the margins because they're largely at home or their children are going to school. And there is a great deal of struggle going on adapting to new cultures and new realities that they live in. So diversity helps a bit with that. So they organized an amazing event to mark Women's Day. And they brought together, I would say, close to 300 women from different walks of life, different cultures, to come and talk about and share ideas what it is to be an ethnic person or a newcomer to Canada and how to navigate these. Just simple things like that. And like we are today, people shared stories. And my aha moment came when women from different walks of life and different cultures walked up to our table. We took a table at this event and we put out brochures about our club, what we do, the different awards and scholarships that we offer. And you will not believe it, we ran out of every scrap of paper, every brochure, every handout, to the extent that we were scribbling down things on scrap paper and handing it out to people. So my takeaway from that experience was, and we made some connections with young women who were just leaving school, thinking about careers, looking for places to give back to the community. My takeaway were a few of these things. Firstly, as a club, placed in a multicultural environment, step outside your comfort zone. Reach out to communities and community activities and put your hand up and say, you know what, we'd like to come. We'll buy a table, a kiosk, whatever they offer, and go and participate. You will be surprised of how welcoming they can be and how many ideas you can take away. Go to the events that are out of your usual comfort zone. For example, today in Surrey Delta, there is a huge festival that I'm hoping to go to, street festival called Vaisakhi. And it is the celebration of spring by the Sikh community. And do you know how many people are going to come there? 500,000 plus. It's a street event. There are food stalls, there's celebration. It's not my comfort zone. I don't like crowds, but I'm going to go. Why? Because I'd like to embrace the community we're living in and bring that back to my club and say, you know what, let's just go out there and experience what is going on. Young people, I just want to echo some of the things my club member, who we are very proud of, Rochelle, said. Look for young people in other communities. They may be very curious and interested, but they don't know how to come forward and ask. So please reach out to them, invite them in. And as Rochelle said, no pressure. Everybody needs time to adjust. Let the youngsters come in, adjust to your club culture, and don't force them to even join. I mean, just for example, just quickly, we met a wonderful young woman at the Diversity Women's Day event, and she's just graduating from a marketing program at one of the local polytechnics. So we said, you know what, we have our Live Your Dream Gala coming up on the 22nd of June. We'd like some help. with marketing our event. We'd like to reach a different demographic than the 50 plus, which traditionally is our demographic. Would you like to do this as a project? You don't have to be a member of our club, but do you want to do that? And you know, she's come up with so many amazing ideas. She was at our last meeting. We had a little meeting with her, and she sent us some amazing ideas to connect with young women on websites, on platforms that we were not familiar with, being older women. So yes, encourage young people to come forward, people who are going into careers. And just one last takeaway. It has nothing to do with diversity or whatever. Just do not say, if a young person or anybody in your club brings forward an idea, do not shoot it down by saying, but we've always done it this way. That is something, scrap it from your book, scrap it from your agenda. We do things differently, always, because we are different. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Kieran, and thank you to everyone who has contributed these amazing ideas. And we've only got a minute left in our official time, but I'm going to take away my spotlight and invite anyone who would like to stay on. I'm also going to stop the recording now. And anyone who would like to stay on and with questions, comments, please, the floor is open. Just use the raise hand feature and we'll spot you. Thank you so much for coming.